Hello, and welcome back to Everything's Political Podcast. I have a special guest today, and this is my friend Jennifer Marty. Jennifer Marty, I met Jennifer Marty when she was a teenager and a part of the organization we're going to talk a little bit about today called Youth Media Symposium. But it's all in the context of Vote 16, Vote 17. That's what we're going to be talking about today, fans, folks out there. We're coming back to that. We went in, and now we're back. So, Jennifer, just tell everybody what Vote 16 is all about. Give us a little history.
Hi, everyone. Jennifer Made. Vote 16, to be exact, started from I believe it was a group of students who came together. It was Vote 16 USA, and then they started to have smaller groups. And then the effort is to expand voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in local, state, and overall, their main goal is all elections with the ideology of no taxation without representation. So technically, if you can work legally at 16, you should be able to vote at 16. Some of the rationales behind it, not all, but some. So Vote 16 USA, there's a Vote 16 New Jersey, and there's a Vote 16 committee meeting, Vote 16 Newark committee meeting, but there is a Vote 16 New Jersey who was a part of the lowering ordinance that was passed by LaMonica McIver, who was the city
Council.
council's president at the time. She introduced legislation to the council, but her and her colleagues on the city council all voted for it. So I want to make sure I give all the council folks their props.
And the voting target this time to start out with is the school board election, right?
Yes, I was getting there.
Okay.
Sorry. But however, what they did here was focus more on not focus more, but focus directly on the school board election. So the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice, Vote 16, New Jersey, and a couple other amazing organizations like the GEM Project all came together, testified for this particular ordinance in the city of Newark, and it passed last year, where now legally 16 and 17-year-olds can vote in school board.
And I didn't say it before, but now having kind of grown up in the Youth Media Symposium, you are now the director of the Youth Media Symposium, or YMS. I should have introduced you more properly, give you your props. Just briefly, since we've had a number of sessions on this already, just say what you guys did this summer to get young people ready.
I'm currently the director of youth programs for the Abbott Leadership Institute, which YMS is one of the programs underneath that. I was a student in YMS back in the day, and now I get to run YMS. So it's a pretty cool full circle moment. Last summer 2024, the Youth Media Symposium spent their summer working on a toolkit. There's three things that ALI is to engage, to empower, but really to educate. Those are the three pillars that we do guide our work. And the educate part to us at a time felt as if it was not being not that it was not being done because it wasn't important. It was not being done because it was just so much things happening at the same time. So we were missing in all of the noise for Vote 16. We felt like we were missing the education part. Because what is the point of adding 7,000 new voters if 6,700 of them who are not in our programs have no idea what the school board does, have no idea when the election is, have no idea of what's even going on. If those other students that are not affiliated with any of our programs, if they don't know what's going on, not to say that any efforts are pointless, because anything that we do for justice is never pointless, but we have to make sure that we are educating them so that our efforts of changing for 16 and 17-year-olds to vote, for that to have an immediate change, and for, students to actually be able to vote. So YMS spent their summer working on a toolkit that was focused on youth voter education and mobilization. So their website, which will be coming out soon, focuses on 3 areas. It focuses on civic education, it focuses on voter registration, and it focuses on voter mobilization and advocacy strategies.
I
And
remember
they
when we I remember when we talked before, they were all working on that very studiously. You had different committees for each one of those sections, and now you're saying that there's going to be a website with
Yes.
all of that put together. How will people
Yes.
get onto the website? How will people? I shouldn't say that. How will people know about the website?
So, well, we're going to have presentations happening for educators, city officials, hopefully community programs, and hopefully potential wide state organizations, so we can equip them with this toolkit, making sure that the toolkit, one more time, was created. It's a comprehensive toolkit and training for voter education and engagement. So the purpose of it is to educate students on voter education and to educate them on what exactly is their civic responsibility. What is civic education? What does that look like in programming? What is the foundation of local school board election? What does that look like? And then most importantly, what is the history of the Newark school board elections, for them to understand and know as to why we are here in 2025? What happened in 1995 and 1990 and 2001 and 2014 for them to be in 2025 with the opportunity to be able to vote in April.
Do you think people feel as enthusiastic about it as you apparently are? The young people, the young people in YMS, are they really enthusiastic about this?
The young people?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, we have a culture of YMS where, our young people are taken through a specific training. You are not new to that. I went through the training. We go through a certain training. We are exposed to different things. The whole purpose of YMS, why it was created, is it was to make sure that students are civically engaged, and also student leaders and advocates within their schools and for Newark Public Schools. So students are already informed and aware of what the opportunities were for them. So are they excited? Absolutely. They're excited to find out how they get to register how to vote, because that's something that is not out yet. They're excited to be able to finally cast a vote to something that directly affects them.
Tell me about what's going on in the schools these days. Are people going to be receptive? Those who haven't had the kind of training that you're talking about, are the students going to be receptive to this, you think?
The toolkit is a really good foundation for any student who might say, "Hey, I actually don't know what's going on about the voting. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what a school board does," or if they're just in any way confused about voting and what the details of voting for school board member, voting for school board election, what that looks like. The toolkit, the website is a great place to start, because the purpose of it is to empower and prepare for the youth vote.
Given what's going on in the country today, what's going on in the school district that may have some impact upon all that you're talking about? I guess I should have asked the question before. Are young people really interested in school so much so that they're going to be excited about becoming a part of this great experiment?
I want to say young people have concerns about their schools. Young people have, and not only just concerns, because concerns can be looked at as a negative thing. Young people have opinions and ideas. And when young people realize that they now have the opportunity to play a bigger role in how those ideas possibly can reflect, because they will have impact on the election, which will have impact on the school board who joins the school board, who gets elected to the school board, who then those people who make up their policies and directly affects them. So the young people, when they understand their power, which I think that is what is missing, that YMS's toolkit website is going to let them know, which is why we called it the Freedom Summer. We had a YMS Freedom Summer because it was about finding out your power. What is young people's power? They need to understand that the power is now truly in their hands. And their power is this: you can vote now. You can vote if you have an issue with something, and your vote matters, and it can directly impact a lot of things. But you need to understand first why that's even important. And that's the thing about YMS. We train our students to understand that voting history, why it's important to vote, and why civic education is so important. We also teach them strategies on how to be advocates. So noting that we teach them the foundations of what it means to be an advocate, the foundations of historical literacy and content, and then also now equipping them with what is happening in the very moment. That is the power that you give young people, or even any person, to be able to now want to take it matters into their own hands and actually go to the polls and actually want to vote and be engaged and invested.
Yes, indeed. That's why we set up YMS, and I'm glad you are carrying that mandate forward. Young people have to realize they do indeed have power. But are they frustrated with what's going on the national scene now? Does that have some impact upon their enthusiasm for this vote?
I actually had a conversation. We had YMS Mondays and Wednesdays. We had YMS yesterday, and there is a level of concern for their peers, who are not, and just themselves as well, because it's not just about immigration. While it is a really big issue, and we are seeing things happening that it is heartbreaking. Students don't want to go to school. Parents are not sending their kids to school. Parents are not going to work. People are like laying low. There's also a lot of things happening that is going to directly affect students who are born or citizens, like the federal pause on financial aid, on all these benefits that directly affect some of our communities here in the city of Newark, like subsidized housing, food stamps, Medicare. There's a lot of things that are going to impact our students right now. So I think that it's going to mobilize them even, it's going to fuel them even more to want to get more involved, because the things that are happening when you vote are going to be directly impacting them, even though it's not on a local, even though the voting didn't happen on a local level. It was an election, presidential election. It's still the same effect, that voting is power, and your power sometimes, or your lack of voting, can also feel a certain way. So I think that it can be it's going to be, for particularly, a moment where students might realize, I think, from my lens, as I'm always looking at young people as, they have so many bright ideas, and I think that young people are probably going to be the ones that we have to listen to for these innovative ways to combat some of the things that we might be facing right now.
Well, what are they facing in terms of
In the schools,
yes, what are they facing in the school? What are the issues that you've heard about?
I think we have to bring some young people to the podcast so we could let them talk about that themselves. But I'm hearing a lot of issues. Hearing some concerns about the exams from some juniors that they have to take. I'm hearing concern. I'm just observing a lot of and this is far beyond YMS. I'm hearing a lot of concerns about quality of food, quality of the buildings, and quality of education. I think we need to listen more when our young people are giving us complaints. That's what I want to say, that instead of what I just said. I want to be more careful. I think we should bring young people to listen to their concerns because they have a lot to say. And instead of taking it as complaining and I want to say not action oriented, young people know what's right and fair, and they're aware of things that can change. They're just not aware of the process. They don't know that they can speak at a board meeting. They're not aware of, the advocacy processes to get in certain things that they would like to see change done. And I think that there's a lot of issues that they're having or that they're talking about right now amongst themselves. And this election is going to we're going to see some of that stuff. And maybe when you come to YMS and the GEM Project's student-led candidate forum in March, you hear some of those concerns that young people have because they're very outspoken and they will tell you themselves what some of those concerns are, especially at YMS.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that offer because I do want to hear what specifically they have to say. Maybe we'll bring them in here to this quote-unquote studio, or maybe we'll come to the sessions as you just pointed out. So what's the next step?
So for YMS, there's a couple of next steps. So I definitely want to be a great partner and make sure that I mention the New Jersey Institute for Social Justice. Asada and her team have been working on a kickoff February 1st. YMS will be in attendance, and the kickoff is going to happen at Bethany Church, I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe it's there, February 1st. Also, there is going to be YMS is finally releasing our website in February. We will have a date soon. We're just trying to confirm our location. So we will have a date. Actually, the goal is to announce February 1st, but it is going to be on a Saturday closer to the end of February. And then on March 20, I think it's the 26th, but don't quote me on it, is our fifth annual student-led candidate forum for the Newark Board of Education elections. This is our collaboration with the GEM Project. It is going to be happening at CityPlex this year. We have grown, so we want to make sure that we have the space. So this year we will be at CityPlex. Thanks to Amanda, it will be happening at CityPlex. And then, of course, the general election is going to happen on April 15th this year. In between time, there will be something from, I'm not sure if it's from Mr. Chris's office, or if it's going to be from Keisha's office, but the way for the 16 and 17-year-olds to register to vote, that information has to come out because I believe registration opens sometime in February.
Okay, here's the jackpot question. Will they be organized or will they just be registered? When they go into that booth to vote, will they have had sessions among themselves to associate certain issues with certain candidates? Or will they just kind of go in there and say, yes, I'm going to vote because I got a right to vote?
My hope is both. My hope is always for organized. My hope is that they take what they hear from the candidates and organize. But that is a very quick turnaround time from March 26th till April 15. And I believe the cutoff for registering to vote might be like the 21st. So the turnaround time might be difficult for that election to be organized. But I think young people, I'm so confident that once we are putting out all of these incredible educational and empowering resources and toolkit that young people are going to be more excited because they're going to know more. Knowledge is power. The more you know, the better decisions you make. And I truly believe that once we are educating all of our 16, 15, 17-year olds on what the importance of local elections, the foundations of what a school board does, how their school board is controlling their day-to-day lives, what the role of the school board is, what a voter registration process looks like for them, how student-led advocacy, what that looks like, what voter mobilization looks like. And these are some of the things that we're talking about some of the trainings that we have on our website, on the Youth Media Symposium website that the students created this summer, that are going to equip young people to be able to vote. And the hope is for YMS, the aim is to spark a citywide movement towards increasing voter engagement, not only within young people, but within all folks, because not everyone understand what the role of a school board is, even the history of Newark School Board.
I'm listening to you, and I like what you say, but I think the issue is something you kind of pointed out. Is there enough time for them to do all of that? Here we are in late January. They haven't really finished the process of education. Will they be able to apply the education to the issues that they want? And will they be able to connect the people who are running and do some due diligence to figure out, yes, these are the people we want to sit on the school board?
I get the question. This might have to be a trial run, a trial year, because the time crunch is it's real, and it's going to take much more time to develop and gather youth issues and figure out how to develop maybe even a citywide policy agenda or a citywide youth policy agenda. It is going to take time, and I don't think nothing is impossible, but it is going to take time.
What about youth candidates? Will there be any young people running for the office of school board?
That'll be a question to ask the city clerk. That's a question. That's a legal question. I am not a lawyer yet, but that is a lawyer question. And I'm going to save that for New Jersey Institute for Social Justice and for the city clerk, Keisha Daniels. That'll be something for them to answer.
Assuming that it's legal, has there been any interest shown by the young people that you're working with to run for office?
Assuming that it is legal, I think I know young people would be interested. Assuming, assuming young people would be interested. However, that would also bring up open up a different can of worms, as there is a student position on the board who legally does not vote on their matter. So that might be a little bit conflicting as to how students will be able to run, and the student who's on the other side can't vote on any of the board business. So a lot of legal issues that I am not privy to.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. We're going to follow that and all the other issues that you raised and discussed. I appreciate what you've done, and all the other organizations as well who have gotten out there and gotten behind this.
Yes, absolutely.
How does it feel to have children in the school district of Newark right now? Can you tell from what you've heard?
We're living in unprecedented times. There's students who are scared to even go to school because they think, even though school is supposed to be protected, they believe that it's not. And today I just read or saw somewhere that a kids hospital in Boston was raided. Those are one of the 3 things that are supposed to be zero grounds. There needs to be something put in place for protection of children, but if something happens to their parents and the child is in school, is there an emergency contact updated? There's just so much that has to go into protecting children and their families, and this is just all happening at the same time. So I'm giving grace, but also expecting something to be happening where we're figuring it out. So we're going to have to pivot on how we teach our students who are undocumented. And it just does not look like Latino students. There are different communities who have undocumented people, and we have to be able to transfer things into their languages and also which is resources and materials into their languages, but also get really creative as the education world on how we are going to educate and engage those young people, especially if that's all I got. We have to figure out a way to teach them. They're going to be missing out on a lot of things if this continues as it's going. Um, so we have to get creative, but I really believe that we sometimes, especially in government, are stuck in slow systems and we are not capturing things or rolling things out as fast as we're dealing with them. And this has been a week. But even for those who are still going to school, who they might be, the student might be born here, so they're an American citizen, but their parents is not. If their parent get taken for, God forbid, their parent gets taken, how does the school deal with that? Like, what's the process for that? How are these systems working together? Like, how does the school contact Child Protective Services? How does Child Protective Services, like, what are the systems put in place for? And I know this is all happening so fast, so it's difficult, but this is when innovative thinking needs to happen. How do we protect the kids at the schoolhouse?
People have not thought about the implications of some of these things on the ground. It's not just that people are afraid to go out of the house. It's now people are stuck in the house or at least away from school, maybe even away from the house. And how are these kids going to learn? How are these young
Not
people
only
going to learn?
that, this is happening. So I really need us, and when I say us, I mean people who are educating K through 12 and even college to figure out how we're going to teach our students who are undocumented in this time and fast. We got to figure it out fast.
Well, what percentage of the students who will be voting for the first time will be the only eligible voters in the household?
Now, that is a great question that I have no answer to. That is something that we definitely need to get the statistic for. That'll be a great data point to have. However, I am sort of aware that students who are 16 to 17-year-olds who are undocumented are not going to be able or eligible to vote in local school board elections.
I just want to say that just having young people engaged without having some kind of direction to pour their newfound interest, and that's going to be determined by the adults and the organizations like YMS who are going to not only just teach them about what the board does, but how to use the board to advance their issues. So I'm going to be looking for that. I'm going to come out to some of the gatherings you've mentioned. Please keep me informed. And by the time April comes, we'll all have some more opinions about the health of the school district's first opportunity for young people to vote. So thank you, Ms. Jennifer Mate.
Thank you.
Everything's Political podcast is produced by the Center for Education and Juvenile Justice Incorporated. The narrator and chief consultant on the project is Junius Williams. The cinematographer for Series 5 is Brian Timmons, and the editor, Harry Kafka, Studio Mosaic under Francesca Dulce Larson, manages additional production and promotional efforts. We wish to thank the Turrell Foundation for its continued generous contributions that make the podcast possible. You can catch new episodes monthly and bonus content released weekly across YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. If you like what you see, please like, follow, and subscribe, and of course, stay political.